Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. This is God Loves Couture. Welcome back. We got to get into it because I owe y'all this video. I owed y'all a couple videos, matter of fact, but y'all know how I am. Like, I don't like doing videos unless I can really get something out of it and I can relate to it. And we back on the topic of colorism, okay? This latest story with colorism really had me thinking, and I've seen a couple videos about this lady on TikTok who is about 47, and she talks about pretty privilege, and the topic of colorism comes up, and it really made me think, because I'm like, do I want to talk about this anymore? What can I add? I like to add value, or try to help somebody else who has been in my same shoes, and so I don't like to do certain topics unless we can get some kind of value out of it. What else could I add to this topic? But this story cracked me up at first, because when I saw it, I was thinking, well, let's back up. I need y'all to support my channel because I'm still building. I need y'all to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know your thoughts. I learned from you guys' comments as well. So yeah, but when I saw this story from this lady, I was thinking she was joking at first. I'm just being honest, y'all. I thought she was joking. I thought she was like part of this whole thing with TikTok. I can't understand why people go on and jump on it. And it seemed like they cause issues where you just know how social media is. They are going to rip you apart. If you come, like, they're gonna rip you apart. Somebody always got something to say, so you just got to be ready for it, which is why I kind of like, do I want to do this topic? I do want to do this topic because it's something that I have struggled with colorism and being a brown girl, dark skinned girl. I know y'all have y'all different like metrics now, who falls where. I've always known it to be one or the other. When I was growing up, and I am like a 80s kid growing up, and I grew up in Compton, California. You were just one or the other, okay? And when I saw this story from this lady, again, I thought she was joking. And I watched it a couple times, and I said, oh, okay. No, what she means is she's talking about colorism. She's getting it confused, like everybody else has said so far, that she's confusing colorism for pretty privilege. And then I kept watching different videos, and I kept chewing on what she said. And then it was new facts brought out that she recently lost a lot of weight. And so I think all women, I don't care if you're purple, yellow, what shade whatever shape, you should have a high sense of worth about yourself. You should think you are an attractive woman, valuable for yourself. You should have some sense of self-esteem just for yourself, okay? So I won't take that away from her, okay? I don't like to get into the ugly and the pretty politics, because to me, how can I say this? There are women who fall within, I think every woman has to wrestle within where she actually falls within the beauty standard, okay? That's every woman. I don't care who she is. Every woman, I believe, she knows where she falls at. And the reason I have a problem in having this conversation is because I don't want to reduce women's beauty just down to being objectified and just being something to look at. I think our beauty, a woman's beauty, encompasses like many things. And so that's why this conversation about colorism, what we about to talk about, is a little bit tricky for me, because I never want to take away another woman's, her dignity, her value. Her value is more, God gives us our identity and our beauty and our worth. I believe our identity and everything is found in Christ. I am faith-based, y'all. That's how I see it. But I also understand in culture, in society, has a metric of what is conventionally beautiful or attractive people. I understand that the culture, people have biases. All of us have biases towards, I think, attractive people, where we treat people differently based on what they look like on the outside. Even the Bible talks about that. Man looks on the outside, but God looks at the heart. Okay. This particular lady, I kept thinking about what she was saying. And what I come to find out is this. I could understand why she would equate her colorism to being pretty privilege. I think one plays a factor into the other. And I understand why, if over time you've been told on a regular basis that your eyes are so this, oh, you have pretty great eyes, which we know in the Black community, that's a thing of, oh, you got exotic eyes. People are paying. I think Tiny's daughter, T.I.'s wife, got light colored eyes, and it's becoming a hot trend because everybody wants to. I remember in middle school, there when contacts started becoming popular, the girls used to start wearing their green contacts because that was a thing of, looking different and exotic. And I get it, kind of like if everybody brown and look the same, everybody want to stick out in a different way. And then I remember it becoming a thing even with some guys, that it was like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. Some of the guys are now sporting the light colored eyes. Okay, I get it. So I understood when I started thinking about it. I said, yeah, she doesn't understand how colorism has made her think it's pretty privilege. And then I was thinking about, I was laughing because I thought it was interesting how social media is quick to tell you where they think you fall, right? And so people were quick to say, oh, sister, wait a minute. No, sister, I think you got your terms mixed up. I think it's really this, okay? I'm a dark-skinned sister, and I've had siblings that are not my shade, and I have one particular one that was always compared, and so I know it better than a lot of people. Let me not say that. I know it in a way where you're constantly being compared to another woman. I have a sibling who is her complexion, okay? And she didn't have the light eyes, but we're the same age. And so I heard it all the time of, oh, okay, so y'all are sisters. What happened to you? And it was always this backhanded feeling, to me, that feeds into rejection, of making you feel like something is wrong with me. Even though majority of my family is my color, we're all different shades of brown. People, and I don't think, let me say this, I don't think all of it was malice, coming from a malice place. I don't think, sometimes people just say stuff, me included, you included, and they don't mean anything by it. They're just making an observation. But if you understand, if you hear that on a regular basis, it can make you feel a way. Just like my other sibling, I was smaller than her. She wasn't big, but let people tell it would make her feel like she must be a giant. To me, she had like Beyonce's shape when she first came out. That's how my sister was shaped when she was in high school. And so I feel like they painted me to be the mean sister. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I feel like some of that came from because of my color and because of her color, you see? And so when this lady or TikTok came, I said, uh-oh, they about to eat her up, and they ate her up. But when you think about it, it makes sense to me. And she's probably been told by women, black women and black men especially, that her color makes her attractive because she's the kind of like different, I don't want to say zebra, that's the wrong terminology, but different in a pool of other Black people who are just mono African American. She's biracial, I think. She's been othered. And so it makes sense when you really think about it, how she could think, yes, she's an attractive woman. An attraction, I understand beauty is subjective. I get what y'all, yes, I get what y'all trying to say, you know. But even Sweetie recently said the same things, talking about pretty privilege, which is starting to get on my nerves, y'all. So I think Sweetie recently just said, you know, it's been a bad thing for pretty privilege because, you know, it can be used against you, which if y'all go to my Diddy video about the cost of beauty, I touch on that a little bit, in that there's a downside when we look at beautiful women, I think there is a downside as well. But the thing with the whole pretty privilege conversation, it gets old because it comes off like this. If Paris Hilton talks about the downside of being a rich white woman, you see, people know that being rich is still a privilege. It's white, it's privilege. And you still have a lot of comfort. So it's like a rich person complaining about how much money they have. And man, I always got to think about my money. I got to think about who's going to be my friends. It's not to say that rich people don't have problems. It's to say we don't want to really hear you complain about the downside because you benefit. Most people still would take that over what they have. You see what I'm saying? You still benefit more times than not with whatever that privilege is. And I hate to think about, listen, I think all of us have a different kind of privilege. I know everybody want it to be a fair. It's not, because humans are biased. That's what I want to tell you in this video. Humans are biased. And as long as you have the human heart, we're always going to have racism, and we're always going to have colorism. Okay. That doesn't mean we shouldn't fight it. We shouldn't make each other aware about our biases and things that we're putting, but you're going to have it. Okay. And so I think it's so funny how Black people talk a lot about racism. And we should talk about it because it still exists, right? I don't think it exists in all cases because you can't really know if it's racism. We can look at some fruit is what we can look at, right? And so just how Black people talk about racism, what it shows me is that Black people also still have, or Indian people, or all people still have their biases. And so within the culture, well, we have colorism inside and outside. And it just shows you that human beings are always trying to jockey to have value or to have some kind of upper hand over another one for whatever reason. Okay, that's always going to be the case because that's the sin nature of humans, right? But I want to talk about the colorism. And I grew up in Compton, and first of all, in my family, most of us are all my shade, okay? Variations, maybe one shade light, one shade darker, but I have two light-skinned sisters. And I did notice that with those two light-skinned sisters, they seem to have friendships, girlfriend problems, or girl problems at school. And I noticed those two sisters, are the light-skinned sisters, seem like they had more issues. And I do think that's a thing where, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth, with being a dark skin, and you might even not even consider me like, you're not the darkest. No, I'm not the darkest, but it also depends on who I'm standing next to, right? And with this particular sisters, well, two sisters, they're lighter. I never heard colorism in my family. We never really talked about it. It was just like, we all Black. We look different shades, but we all experiencing the same thing. And my mother really didn't talk about race. And my mother's from the South, so she would talk about picking cotton, believe it or not, as kids, and they grew up in the country. And so she'd always tell us, we've never really experienced racism. Y'all don't understand what racism is. The stuff that y'all get upset about, you guys could not exist in the world that we grew up in, because it was just a different time. And so when we tell my mom about microaggressions and things like that at work, she kind of laughs it off, because my mother is kind of like, you guys would not have done well in my time. Like, if that's what y'all are, y'all for the week. And so we really never talked about colorism. It never was a thing between my sisters and my siblings. But here's the funny thing. I did have an issue with one particular sibling. I don't want to go into it, but I had to kind of go into it, where I'm going to say he, would call me a bad name. And this is why we have to be careful with our words of what we speak over other people, because it can open up wounds, and you can never, even though he has apologized and I forgive him, all that, those things stay with people. Words have power. And so, believe it or not, he was darker than me. And he would say, call me this bad word that would really hurt my feelings. And so on top of the insecurity, I used to have bad skin, and it wasn't cystic, but it was cystic to me. It bothered me really bad. So on top of these things, it made me have insecurities about being attractive just as a brown skinned girl. Okay, I'm not going to tell you a lie. So that was one thing. And then when I went to school, probably middle school, remember I told you guys I grew up in Compton. Okay, so y'all know in Compton we had a good time, but I can remember your mama jokes, all that kind of stuff. And it would always get on color. Always would talk about somebody being so black, your mama is this, your mama's that, your mama's so black, she da-da-da-da. And you have to understand, you kind of have to see it as kind of weird, in that these are all black students who are making these jokes about each other, right? They call it, what do they call it? When they roast each other, I forget what they call it, but this was a regular thing. And so when I got in middle school, I would notice how the boys would act different with a girl. Like, say we had a new girl in class or school, and she was mixed or she was light skinned. See, kids notice that. So even though I didn't have a language, I didn't know what to call it. I knew I could see they treated them different from the mono black girls, right? So it's kind of like, well, y'all just like me. You know what I mean? Like, maybe the black boys are kind of like, well, y'all come from the same place I do. So it kind of makes you think, like, where did that come from, that even as little kids or in middle school, they already started this thing of the mixed girls are different, right? All these things, I'm telling you, it made me feel a way. You push on, you move on with life, and you do your thing, but little seeds is what I'm trying to say. So it'll make you feel like, well, of course, the dark-skinned girls are going to feel some way with the light-skinned girls if they feel like they have more privilege. Here we go again with the boys all flocking to them. And I would just watch, like, oh my goodness, like, they really, like, I can't say they treated them different, because you know how that is. Character is character, but they really seemed like they moved differently with them. Like they really was like, felt like oh my goodness, if she was mixed, like they just put her on this different, like, and I could not figure it out. Now, mind you, I understand how different it's going to make somebody attractive. The thing I didn't like about colorism was this. I didn't like it when they would call, if you were mixed, light skin, pretty, when it wasn't pretty. Okay, my whole thing is this. I don't think your skin color makes you ugly. I don't. I have seen some beautiful, Olandria is beautiful. She's strikingly beautiful. cheekbones. I'm gonna do another video, and it's gonna be with Naomi, the other woman who posted her picture, but she was dark skinned and she had the big nose, and that's more about self-worth. But I'm gonna show you how Alandria's features is very similar in one particular picture to Mariah the scientist, and so both of them are attractive. I'm not saying they're not, but my thing would be, some people can't differentiate. They cannot make the differences of, you just have light skin. Some people really do feel like light skin makes a person more attractive. If y'all don't believe what I'm saying, why do y'all think we have filters? Why do y'all think the women in Africa, the women in America are using bleaching creams? You see what I'm saying? Because that's their way of trying to play the beauty Olympics, right? They want to be desirable on some level. They want to have work. We have India and the caste system of how you're treated. And so I don't think dark skin makes you unattractive. I think it's your spirit. I think conventionally beautiful people exist in all races. I could show you an Asian woman that's beautiful, an Indian woman beautiful, a black woman. My thing is representation for dark-skinned women, right? And how and why I don't understand. Let me roll back. The other thing about colorism is this. So it's the representation that's, for some reason, because you have this skin tone, they don't feel like the two can go together. I had a friend that told me years ago, he was dating this Ethiopian woman. The Ethiopian woman told him, you guys in America don't think that the two effing, excuse my French, that's what her exact words was, don't think pretty and dark skin can go together. She said she never experienced nothing like it until she came over here to America, okay? That she never saw how people treated them differently based on skin tone, and how people really thought if you have dark skin, you are not considered attractive, which is why I can't get over the whole thing with Alandria. Like Alandria and Shelly, beautiful, beautiful. Y'all talk about that statue we had like a while back, maybe 3 or 4 months back. Make a statue of Alandria. I'll be down for that. Give me that representation, because the thing with Alandria is this. I know I'm skipping around, y'all. It's a heavy topic. I have so many things I could say about this. Excuse me. The thing that I liked about Alandria and Shelly was, y'all, let me not say y'all, some people couldn't pull the same punches because, see, they were fit. Yes, they were friendly, and they were attractive, dark-skinned women. So they could compete with the other ladies who were of the same kind, right? When we talk about representation, y'all don't know how it gets under my skin when I see it'll be a dark-skinned brother, and every time they will put a light-skinned woman as his wife or a romantic partner. That irks my soul, because we have that in the culture where the women are kind of at each other, but not. Like my whole thing with the light-skinned women is this. I don't hold it against her, because just like how I came out chocolate, she came out light-skinned. She didn't ask to be what shade of color, so it's none of her doing, right? I have no issues with that. I think my issue is we are of the same kind. We are all of the same kind. I don't give you any extra credit because you are light skinned. I expect the same things, and I don't put you on a pedestal. I try not to, especially to be honest, I really try not to do that. Attraction, you know, if they are cute, they cute, I'll give it to you. I have no issues with saying, you know, but my thing is with dark-skinned women, I don't think dark-skinned women are given the same love as how people are cutting up with Alandria. People, for some reason, can't, have a problem with her being promoted. They can't promote her when we've had years of promotion of the same type of woman, a white woman on magazines, light-skinned women, biracial women, okay? But for some reason, now this dark-skinned woman, Alandria, who's having her time in the limelight, why can't we share the limelight is my question, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. But yeah, I want both of them. I was happy for them. I'm not a fan of Love Island because I think it promotes sex and all that other kind of stuff. But I did like how they carried themselves on the show. They got labeled as the mean girl, which is dark skin. Is normally, we demonize dark skin. And when you're a woman, the other thing is that dark skin is often associated with masculine traits. And so I feel like sometimes as a dark skinned woman, we have to do extra to get the same, I don't want to say same respect, but the same, the same level of respect, I want to say, when it comes to femininity, or to be viewed as feminine women. You know what I mean? Just because it's like people, I kind of feel like sometimes people project onto you as a dark-skinned woman. And if you're beautiful, that's cool. But I also feel like they project because they feel like you're going to come off a certain way. You see what I'm saying? Where they wouldn't do it with a light-skinned girl. And maybe that's my bias, but I'm just telling y'all my truth. I never had issues within my own family, especially with that particular sibling. Never felt any. In fact, she would tell me different things that guys would tell her about her skin tone. So I knew there was something in it about, wow, they really flocked that light skin. And so it does bring up the conversation with this woman talking about her pretty privilege and how women treat her funny way. I do think that's a real thing that dark-skinned women wouldn't, probably certain ones, not all of them, but I do see that being a real thing of treating them a certain way as kind of like a get back of, because you're put on a pedestal, we gonna humble you. You see what I'm saying? It's not right, it's wrong, especially if you're an adult. But I think it's a real thing because of what my sisters experienced at school, right? What am I trying to say? Colorism is a real thing. It's still a thing. Y'all see it in the entertainment. You see it in media. That gets real old. And so it can make you feel rejected in a way, in that it's something that you could not change. Now, I love my skin tone now. Y'all can't tell me nothing about, like, you know, with Cicely Tyson. Cicely Tyson was 100 and something years old, and her skin looked better than some women. So dark skin don't age the same. I don't care what nobody say, it doesn't. You get a tan year long, and you never have to worry about tanning. You know, things pop. Certain colors are still gonna just always pop on you. So yeah, y'all, it's a thing. I don't like to take away. I don't know if I'll call it pretty privilege. I do think it's, for this particular woman, I do think it is a form of pretty privilege because it others her from other women. When y'all talk about pretty privilege, I don't really know what that means anymore. I understand that some people get more oohs and ahs. They get a door open for you. Again, I don't know if some of these things are woman things. Like, to me, I'm going to do another video and I'm going to show y'all how sometimes if you even present just being a woman in a dress, you can get, I want to say, different treatment. People treat you different when you're dressed, okay, a certain way. If you're dressed above casual, you're going to get treated different if you look like you're important. That's just, I don't know, an unsaid thing. So I'm going to make a future video talking about that. But yeah, the colorism thing is a real thing. I hate this for us. I hate it for my young sisters who, I see some deep chocolate sisters and they so pretty to me. And I want to do this video because I don't want them to feel inferior. Don't ever. It took me a long time, y'all, to reconcile I'm a chocolate girl and you're a poppin' chocolate girl. You see what I'm saying? Like, it took me a long time. And so I love to see, when I see chocolate sisters and they young sisters and you supposed to think that. You supposed to feel you are not inferior. Your skin tone is how God made you. You are not less than. You are just as beautiful. And then the other thing is, we're not supposed to be comparing ourselves to, and I know we do it just because that's women's nature, and we have a tendency, all women have insecurities, but when it comes to the skin color, I hate it for us because, you know, God created all these colors, and you see all these man-made construct things is why we have issues, insecurities about how we're made. You know, he created us color in our skin to protect, for protection. Okay? Some people are paying for that color. So I don't want to leave y'all with a lot, but just enough to say that you better love the skin that God made you in. I don't think if you deep chocolate, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice, they used to say. I kind of hate that, but like deep chocolate sisters, I'm saying, I feel like I've seen some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful women. Beautiful. Again, we're going to talk about it in another video where it's all in how you package it, okay? And I'm not talking about you gotta do something special to be accepted as a dark skinned woman. What I'm saying is that video is gonna be more about you thriving in your unique style and however way God made you. I believe there's a way all women are beautiful, and it's only when you learn to function within how God made you. When you learn and you get in that lane and you get in your sweet spot of, you get comfortable within your skin, you become prettier because you're comfortable within your skin, okay? It's not the skin tone, it's you liking you. And once you start liking you, that's all gonna be in another video, you're gonna see the difference. So I don't want to take nothing away from this lady who is colorism, but the colorism has made her feel like it's pretty privileged. And I thought about it's like white people and racism. Nobody wants to admit that they have privilege, but nobody wants to give it up either. And so I think it's easier for this particular woman to feel like, I think it's an ego boost, to be honest. Maybe pride. But I think most women, let me not say that. Most people will want to believe, is what I'm trying to say, will want to believe it's pretty privileged because that would make you feel better overall. Versus colorism is saying it's not about you, sister. It's really just because your skin tone is the right yellow or golden or however way. You get what I'm saying? One is going to be more flattering to you versus it's just my skin tone. That's what they like. But I did like one particular lady who talked about how, and this is something that I think light-skinned sisters could talk about more, where she talks about she can tell the aura or the difference when a man approaches her and talks to her, if he's attracted to her or if he's attracted to her skin tone. And I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, like, well, don't your skin tone embody? It does, but it's kind of like you being, when y'all talk about fetishizing. See, these words, y'all got me. Okay, when people objectify you just for that one thing, and y'all feel like white men are fetishizing you for your skin color, but you don't feel black men are doing it, which is kind of weird because to me it's the same thing, but you feel more comfortable when if one oohs and ahs over you having a big behind, that is objectifying for your behind, okay? Whereas one could be objectifying you for your color, could be, not always, but could be. Same thing though, okay? We got to learn to accept ourselves, and a woman. I think God made all women beautiful in their own way. The next video is going to be about unconventional beauty standards and how to have self-worth. And yeah, so I've had some things going on with colorism, okay? And it's something that I've had to work on because I don't want to. This is another thing with being a dark-skinned Black woman. If it's ever been an issue for you, you cannot project your experiences off onto other people. You cannot project racism off on other people. We know it exists. We know it's a thing. We know colorism is a thing, but it don't mean it apply in every situation. And it sometimes when you anticipate because you're trying to protect yourself, you're more defensive or trying to be in protect mode so you can inadvertently project it onto people when it's not that. It may be something else. It don't always have to be. They might not like you for some other reason. It might just, we don't share personalities that really click like that. So we have to be careful, especially with these labels. Like, we have to check our own heart is what I'm trying to say, okay? I hope this helps. I want the dark-skinned sisters to win. I want the light-skinned sisters to win, okay? I want representation for everybody, okay? My thing is, give me my representation and don't make it be less than because of dark skin. I seen a TikTok video where the lady said she's Indian and Black women had helped her with the whole colorism thing. And I thought that's wow, because Black people, Black women experience it more so. We're darker than her. And she's experiencing the exact same thing. And she said by looking at the different videos, that helped her with her own issues with colorism. So I hope that helps. I'm not going to take away nobody's. If they feel great about, I want you to feel good about yourself, but y'all called it right. I think it is colorism. But the colorism over time will kind of probably tricked her in making her feel like, because I have been othered so many times with people compliment me, oh, your skin tone, oh, your light eyes. When you hear that over time, you are going to think, oh, this means I am pretty. I understand the correlation of why she thought that or how she could put those two together. It's not insane, right? There are people in this world who actually do think that the shade of their skin means they are more attractive. And I blame a certain group of people, which I'm not going to really touch on that right now. Y'all know who that group of people is, who have put some people on a pedestal because of that skin color, only to treat them the same way as everybody else. You see what I'm saying? Behind closed doors, they may treat them worse, but on the red carpet, everybody is the same shade. Just saying, y'all, these are things that I have, experienced. So I get it. I get it when it comes to dating. I get it when it comes to other women. Nobody can make you feel less than unless you feel it yourself. And it's something you have to reconcile. You have to work on and consciously work on of what you are feeding yourself and how you are viewing yourself. I hope this helps. Like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you later. Bye.